The next of the Memches Devarim is called Oyev HaTzedakah, is someone who loves righteousness. And the Tiferes Yisrael says, the pshat over here is, besides the fact that it's easy for this person to appreciate the chiyuv and the obligations that he has, like we said before, in Avas Habrios, to love every fellow Jew, and it's very big in his eyes, the obligations to take care of your fellow Klal Yisrael. He also loves righteousness. Now, what does that mean? It pains him in his heart very much. When he sees people that are hurting each other, when he sees one Jew that is wronging another Jew, it pains him in his heart. And he strengthens himself like a lion to rescue this person from their persecution. And he will strengthen the hand of the one that is doing good to another person. Like we find by Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu came to the city of Midian, and he sees all of the shepherds driving away the daughters of Yisro from the well. So he comes to their defense, he defends them, and he ends up bringing them the water so they can get the water for their flock. So says the Tiferes Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu walks into town, and he sees Benais Akum, he sees the daughters of Goyim, and they're being persecuted by the other shepherds. And Moshe Rabbeinu jumps to the rescue, and he saves them. And he pushes everybody away, and he lets them to be able to water their flock. So he says, you learn from Moshe, you have to be an oyev tzedakah. You have to. It should bother you when you see that somebody is hurting somebody else, and you should do something about it in order to make sure that the act is rectified. The next one is oyev esa toichachos, a person who loves rebuke. We don't have many people left in the world today that they like to rebuke, they like to give rebuke, they like to call other people names and the like. I just saw that the ex-president has so many things to say that he cannot stop rebuking the entire world right now for the things that they are doing. People like to give rebuke, but they don't like to receive rebuke. So the Mishnah over here is referring to 3 different types of teichacha, of rebuke, that a person should have in their life. Number 1, like the Tiferes Yisrael says, Adam, when somebody will be machiach, will rebuke you, yismach is that you should rejoice, should be happy. If somebody points out a fault that you have in yourself, it should make you happy. You should be, wow, Baruch Hashem, now I know what's wrong with me. But there's another one, and it's brought down over here. Not only does he love to hear teichacha, however, leichiach ish acher, he doesn't mind being the one that has to be mechiach, that has to give rebuke and mussar to somebody else. That's why it says it's oyev esa teichachos, someone who loves tochachot in the plural. Why? Because you love to receive rebuke from others, and you're happy to go and give rebuke to somebody else. But he says, and the Mefarshim say, the one that you have to rebuke the most is you have to know how to love to rebuke yourself. Like it says in the Mishnah, Ein ani li mili, if I'm not going to be for myself, mili, who is going to be for me? Which means that the only one that can give me the best teichacha, the best rebuke in the world, is the person themselves. I know my faults. I know what I'm struggling with better than you do. I know what I'm working on. I know what I'm not working on. I know where I'm falling short. I know where I'm not doing what I could do. And therefore, if a person will be honest with themselves and examine themselves, then they should be the one that is giving them the most teichacha, the most rebuke, the most mussar, the most what you have to work on. The HaChaim was famous for locking himself up in rooms and talking to himself and saying, Yisrael Meir, what's going to be with you? What's going to be with you? You didn't do this today, you didn't do that today. What are you going to say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the Yom Neroim, on Yom Kippur? How are you going to do tshuva? So he was a person that was in tune with himself. I saw a Maisa recently with Rabbi Yerucham Levovitz, who was the mashgiach, the famous mashgiach of the Mir Yeshiva in Poland. And when he became the mashgiach, he was like a supernatural star. He was so charismatic. Everything that he said was mesmerizing. His talmidim, his students, were growing by leaps and bounds. The yeshiva went from smaller numbers to larger numbers. They were flocking from across Europe to come and learn by Rabbi Yerucham. So one day the Alter of Slobodka came to visit the Mir Yeshiva, and he told Rabbi Yerucham, I need to speak with you privately. And they went into Rabbi Yerucham's office, and everybody could hear from outside, everybody could hear that the Alter of Slobodka, if you ever see a picture of the man was a prince. He was a prince of Klal Yisrael. He was a prince of Torah. He was in total control of all of his midos. You can never imagine a person like this raising their voice. And the Alter of Slobodka came, and he gave him a lashing teichacha, lashed out at him. And he told him, you call yourself a Rebbe. He said, a Rebbe is supposed to build the Talmud for who the student is. You're creating 100 Reb Yeruchams in the world. They're not becoming themselves, they're trying to become like you. And for hours, he just lashed out and gave him scathing mussar. People said that when Reb Yerucham walked out of the room, he looked like he had just heard the most beautiful words in his life. The next day, the Alter came back, and he told Reb Yerucham, we have to speak. And for another 3 or 4 or 5 hours, he just kept giving him mussar and mussar and mussar, and telling him all the things that he did wrong. And when Reb Yerucham walked out of that room after 5 hours, he looked even happier than he was the day before. And day number 3, he came back for more. And they sat in his office, and the Alter of Slobodka once again went hours and hours and hours rebuking Reb Yerucham to teach him all the things that he thought he was doing wrong in the way that he was raising new Talmidim in Klal Yisrael. And when Yerucham walked out of the room after that one, it was a smile that was even bigger than the last 2 days. Oyev esa teichacha is a person who loves teichacha, like it says in the pasuk in Mishlei, Haicheach lechacham, if you rebuke a wise man, Yahavecha, he'll love you. Because I know that you care about me. If I give you rebuke because I see that you can work in a certain area of your life, don't be upset with me. You should love me. Because I'm the one that loves you the most because I'm helping you become a better person. If I let you get away with bloody murder and you do whatever you want and you make mistakes and I just pat you on the back, you're a great guy, you're a great guy. What are you going to learn? You're not going to learn anything. So when a person appreciates the teichacha, appreciates the rebuke from somebody else, that is the way that they become a chacham, and that's why this is one of the kinyonim, one of the great ways that we will acquire the Torah for ourselves.